Hey guys, this is your friendly neighborhood DJ Xquizit. Today we're talking about Spotify part 3s and 4. I'm combining episodes 3 and 4. Originally, I was thinking about doing something about long-term plan versus the specifics, but this time I realized that it flows better if I just do everything all together. Let's discuss a little bit more about influencing the algorithm. Whenever you hit play on a song, you're teaching Spotify what your likes are. Right? Listen to more songs, the more it knows about you. But not just it learning about you, it's also learning about the songs. Whenever you listen to it, that song is imprinted with your likes, with the information that it knows about you. So every time somebody plays the song, the algorithm is influenced, both by it being played by you and by you having played other tracks in the past. Now, what's the difference between plays and playlists? You could get 10,000 people to listen to the song and leave a very good impression, as in influencing the algorithm in such a way where it would know which Discover Weeklies to put it in, Release Radar to put it in, etc. However, playlist is more of a shortcut. In other words, when you are added to a playlist, that playlist already has a profile established. Spotify already knows the profile of the followers. And every time somebody listens to it from the playlist, it's also associating your song with the rest of the songs on the playlist. A good example is, let's say one of my songs, right? I have a very specific style. If I include Artie, Alpha 9, if I include Fatum, Groom, those types of artists from Agenda Beats, instead of me trying to build an entire profile on my own, what I'm actually trying to do by putting it on those playlists and including those tracks on those playlists, the ones that I mentioned previously, is so that instead of it just using the profile, it is now using the profile of Groom, of Fatum, of all those guys, and it'll put it in their Discover Weekly a lot easier. Now, this is really important. Don't try to get the bulk of the plays from the playlist. Most playlists, even the ones that are high traffic, aren't that high traffic. 25, 50, 100 listeners. The bulk of the listens that you're going to end up getting is from it going on Discover Weekly, on Release Radar. So don't try to get 10,000 plays from 400 different playlists, because at most you're going to get like what, 2, 3, 4,000. But working the system over the course of 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, it'll generate enough for you to make a decent income. Keep in mind, you're doing this for every one of your songs. If SEAL Team Ricks, as an example, it's generating what, $100, $150 every quarter. But also, Dear Gravity, another release of mine, is pulling in 100 each quarter. And Set Yourself Free is generating $75 each quarter. As it builds up, the income generated builds up. So some of the steps that you can take right now. There are some steps that you can take right now, even if you don't have any playlist curators on your Rolodex. For example, whenever you post about a new song, you use the Beatport link, right? Or YouTube or SoundCloud. Well, just modify that habit and use the Spotify link instead. Now, when you use the Spotify link, if it's just a song or if it's just a release or the album, it'll play. If it's one track, let's just use that as an example. Whenever they click on it, they'll listen to the song. If they like it, they'll listen to it the whole way. The next song that comes up is decided by Spotify. So my recommendation, or one of the steps that we're told to take, is create a playlist, like my song, right, So Cold. Instead of just posting the So Cold track URL, what I do is that I create a playlist where So Cold is the first track. Preferably, you can even call the playlist the So Cold playlist. And that's the link that I'm using to promote. Now, there's some names that I can't give out. Mainly, if they want to sponsor me, I don't want to kill my chances. But there are what are known playlist hubs. In other words, there's places that you can go, and there's lists of playlists and their submission forms. You can go ahead and grab. Look, make sure you're sending the right style to the right curator, and you can generate a list of 400 or 500 playlists that you can send to. Obviously, the majority of those playlists are going to be personal playlists from people that are affiliated to that particular website, but it'll still put you on enough playlists to influence the algorithm in your favor. And then, of course, the way that most of us do it on Facebook groups. Look up Spotify and you're going to get a ton of results. Start going in there. There's collaborative playlists that you can add it to. There's like for likes. You end up generating more saves on your release. There's ones where you can submit to those playlists, all of those things. Again, if you're trying to get on Filter or Topsify or Digster, you're not going to get in there. Each one of those is controlled by a specific major label. Digster, I know, is Universal. Filter is Sony. When you're trying to go big, keep in mind that those, yes, they do take submissions, and sometimes they do put it on, especially if they like it. But they're also regional, which means that for me as a Mexican artist, I'm sending to Filter Mexico. Whether or not they play it, that's up to them. And then another thing, most of us, whether we work at a label or whether we do our own promo, we're always looking for emails, right? We're looking for like trance artists with a state of trance, group therapy. We're always looking for those DJs to send the promos to. Well, isn't it better if we focus that same energy on looking up which playlists, or in the past, for example, looking on Spotify for Artists, a track that did really well because it was released on a Spotify friendly label. Well, first, what's the playlist? Who are they? And it's sometimes as simple if it's a handle, just putting at and looking on Twitter is likely, you're likely to find it. And then hitting them up on Twitter or scrolling through their Facebook about page or something like that to get their submission information. It's sometimes as simple as that. The same amount of time and effort that we put into getting promo emails, we can just as easily do that with Spotify curators. This is the part that I wanted to put in a separate video. Putting it all together, right? I already told you about some of the habits that you can develop that work in your favor, but also start looking at the playlists that are curated by Spotify. You're gonna find some very specific labels that they support a lot, where the owner has a good relationship with them. If Spotify is the future, if getting an ASOT support will not get you anything, where even if you win Future Favorite, you're not going to get any gigs out of it, where being in the Beatport Top 10 isn't getting you anything, and not only that, you're not making any money. Why focus so much on a label that's going to get you an ASOT support? Why focus so much on a label that's going to put you in the Beatport Top 100? Why not focus on the ones that are more likely to put you on a Spotify major playlist? And then this is the last topic. Sometimes the state of trance. I'm a trance guy, so I have to keep using these examples specifically. But I keep talking about how plays influence the algorithm. There are a lot of things that detract you or that stop your track from gaining the momentum to influence the algorithm enough. One of the biggest dangers is sending the promo out early and it going on a radio show that is available on Spotify before your release. A great example is the Alexander Popov remix of Empire of Our Own, the track of mine that I did with Roman Messer. That track, a couple weeks before release, was played on A State of Trance. And on A State of Trance, it generated like 80,000 plays. The track comes out. I do my magic. I put it on all kinds of playlists. I do everything that I have to do, but it's only at 20,000 right now. I don't know the exact number, I'll look, but it's at a much lower number. When I look at Discover Weekly, when I look at Release Radar and all those other ones, I see that it's the version that was played on ASOT, the one that's getting all the plays. Now keep in mind, ASOT, they keep half of the income and only pay the remainder to the label, which the label keeps half. So you're basically getting a quarter of what you normally would have gotten paid. So there are dangers when it comes to that. At Arkham, you'll notice that we send the promos really late. In other words, that we make sure that nobody is going to get it on Spotify before the release date. And this is something that's strategic. Imagine Swanda not giving permission to ASOT to play that track until after the release date. Everything that I did would have continued influencing the algorithm and would have generated 100,000 on the regular release plus 100,000 on the ASOT release. It would have complemented each other. It wouldn't have had the effect that it had. So when you're thinking about Spotify, when you're looking into making it your main source of income, you have to take all that into consideration. How do the playlists benefit me? How do the supports on major radio shows detract it? What steps can I take to get it in front of more playlist curators? We all have to do networking. So hitting them up, building a good relationship with them is all part of the plan. You want to get gigs? Become friends with the organizers. Same thing with Spotify. You want to get on the good playlist? Then become friends with the curators. Hopefully all of this makes sense and it helps you see the industry in a slightly different way. The former model of getting a ton of supports, getting tons of sales on Beatport, all of those things, they're changing. They're changing drastically. The focus of your song is on people that have never heard you before or have never heard that song. Discover Weekly is all the songs you've never heard before. Those are the ones that you're targeting. It's completely different from how it was before. Release Radar, that's where your followers listen to it. The day of release, the next Thursday or Friday, they'll see your song because they follow you. Try and get as many followers as you can. Every time that you release or anytime that you upload a video or anything along those lines, make sure that your fans, the people that are following you on Facebook, on Twitter, on all of these things, know that they have to follow you on Spotify as well because they'll see it first. Their participation, your fans, will influence the Discover Weekly algorithm so as to generate the bulk of your plays from people that have never heard your song before. Way different, right? That's why I make these videos, because the industry is changing a lot. Spotify is not the future. In 2012, Spotify was the future. Spotify has been the industry standard for the last 2 years. The difference is that we haven't noticed it. We've been so stuck on trying to get on the Beatport Top 100 that we forgot to see what the real moneymakers are. All trance labels that are going out of business, that are abandoning trance, all of these things, it's because of that. Because they're not focusing their energies in the right place. I just gave you the tools. It's up to you to make a difference and to make them work for yourself. Peace.